Hi everyone, welcome to my studio. This video is the 10th in a series that documents my process as I create a commission bust and a sculpture that captures my thoughts on COVID. I decided to separate the molding and casting of the head and the finishing of the COVID sculpture into two separate videos, bringing the series to 12. In this video, I take on the challenge of molding and casting the head of the COVID-19 sculpture. I had mentioned before that the hair would have made the molding and casting process tricky, and it was. In fact, I had to change my normal process in order to make things work. Let's take a look at what I did. I started by adding cardboard to the sculpture in order to separate the clay head from the rest of the torso. This is especially important with the mother mold step, where I definitely don't want plaster going on the sculpture. This silicone doesn't stick to anything, so it wouldn't really affect the cement, but it's better to start at this point because it would help me create a demarcation by the neck, so that when I move to the mother mold stage, it will be easier to apply the mother mold and remove it and remove the head from the sculpture. I prefer to use this silicone because it is very elastic and it has the peculiar properties where it goes on in a peanut butter kind of consistency in terms of viscosity, but as it cures, it becomes runny. As you can see here in the speeded up video, it actually runs and it fills a lot of the crevices. However, because of the texture of the hair, it creates a problem where because it falls in terms of gravity, it falls like a waterfall, so it goes over the top part of the hair, but it doesn't fill the cavities underneath. So my strategy was to cover the face, make sure the face has an adequate thickness of silicone so I know all the details will be captured, and B, I build up the silicone on the hair as thick as possible, and then I will have to modify the technique I would normally use, where I would just apply the rubber and then apply the mother mold. The approach I take is to start applying the silicone at this point and apply the first half of the mother mold, which is the plaster virgin, as you see here, over the face of the front part of the head. This would allow me to remove the head from the torso and then fill the voids by turning the head upside down and allowing the silicone to run in the opposite direction, thereby again filling the crevices. So once the first half of the mother mold was complete, I would have gone back and finished the silicone application, which you would have seen in the previous section under the rubber mold. So now what we are seeing, I'm actually come forward in time again, and I'm applying the other half of the mother mold, which is actually broken down into two parts in order to make it easier to remove. I don't overly complicate the process of making mother molds. If you would see in books and online, people be using keys and special cutouts to make sure the mold fits, the mother mold fits together. But what I've found over the years is the unique shape of the pieces tend to keep them, they fit together like a puzzle anyhow, so there's no real need for over complication. Once you have a unique enough shape, it would hold. All you need to do from there is make sure that it is assembled securely. Once the mother mold is finished, I remove the clay from the mold, which you will see is kind of troublesome. This is because the heat from the plaster, as the plaster sets, it creates a vacuum, and the silicone rubber mold kind of sticks to the plaster, and it sometimes takes some effort to be released. But once you can break the vacuum, it comes out fairly easily. From there, I remove the clay from the rubber mold. I just make a slight incision on the back of the head, and the mold peels easily away from the clay. You will also notice that I remove any high points in the mother mold that could act as mechanical locks, especially when you cast in cement, because the clay will be soft and be a lot more accommodating as it is removed, whereas the cement would not. The first step I take when preparing to cast is to deconstruct the mold and make one final check on the rubber to ensure that there are no mechanical locks, or at least to try to limit them. These locks would occur when silicone pools at the bottom of the spiky hair and forms an interconnected web that then locks onto these spikes, making it difficult to remove when you're demolding the cement. This is very important. So you see me checking and checking again, just to make sure that I reduce the possibility of these locks, because they would actually break the spike here, the spikes, and ruin the hairstyle. So I have to be very, very careful to avoid these mechanical locks. Once I'm happy with the rubber mold, I reassemble everything and secure it with a strap so it can take the rough and tumble of the casting, and then I start by pouring in some cement. After that, I just agitate the cement as much as possible, and I use two methods. One, you see me using a stir rod, and two, I tap the sides of the mold with a rubber mallet. The stir rod ensures that the cement fills all the different shapes and forms like the nose and the ears, eyes, etc. And tapping the mold releases any trapped air caused by that process. So as you add the cement and you agitate with the rod, sometimes you can trap air, but tapping, when you tap this, the air rises to the surface. So you will see me tapping a lot. Once the cement is filled to the top of the mold, I then add a piece of clay wrapped in plastic to create a void. Now this is how I would attach the head to the torso, via this void. I allow the head to cure for about 2 days before I attempt to demold, to ensure that the cement is strong enough to survive the demolding process. Once the bus is cured, I then start to demold it. As you can see here, the first 2 pieces were relatively simple to remove. However, even despite the fact that I was extra careful in removing any high spots, the head still got stuck in the mold. Now this is not unusual, but due to the fact that the head has these spikes on it, I'm very much limited by the amount of force I can use to remove the head from the mother mold. If I apply too much force, I would basically break these spikes, so I have to be extra careful. And even with this amount of care, I still broke a few of them. So essentially I just took my time and worked it carefully out of the mold. Getting the mother mold off really worked up a sweat, but removing the rubber from the cement is proving to be a real challenge. Despite all efforts, I still managed to create some mechanical locks, so I had to cut the rubber off of the cement with a sharp knife. This took a while, as I had to be careful not to damage the hair as I cut the rubber mold. Once the head is free from the mold, the next step is to reassemble the mold to ensure that it's in good condition in case I have to make another cast. Fortunately, it was a good cast, and I can use this to attach the torso and complete the sculpture. I must admit, this was one of the most exciting, or rather nerve-wracking castings I've ever done. Though some of the hair broke off, I still achieved the effect I wanted. The molding made me sweat, not only from nervousness, but from the sheer effort and length of time it took to complete. However, the results in the end were beyond my expectations. Hope you enjoyed the video.